Good afternoon, everybody. What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing? It's your girl, RealRam TLee. And today, as we talk about healing and breaking the cycle of intergenerational trauma, I want to share with you what I learned from the podcast I was listening to today. And she used the book of Job and the overall lesson of who Job was. Now you probably say, you have heard me using scriptures a lot lately, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with using scripture sometime to get a point across, because this is also a part of what our intergenerational trauma, we can't call it, has to deal with, right? We pick up a lot of the ways that is supposedly Christian, is supposedly biblical. So, back to the lesson, back to the point. So, Job, the person who we know, let me back up. Let me back up and tell you that I got this from the Girl Just Heal podcast from the July 16th. Y'all know I'll be always late on stuff when I go back and listen, but it's from the July 16th episode of Girl Just Heal. So, Job, the person who we have all been taught to have been the most faithful servant, which God allowed to be tested in order to shake his faith, and he was never wavered. That is what the podcast was talking about to use. And so, what I got from this, how it spoke to me, and what I want to talk to you about is Job's faith in God, despite losing his children and worldly possessions, remained, right? So the question is, the question and statement is that God was confident that Job would remain faithful. And so I would like to know, and the thing for you to ponder on is, how much confidence do you have in your children, and vice versa? How much faith does your children have in you? And better yet, how much confidence have you planted in your children to have in themselves when trials and tribulations come their way? Are they confident that you are going to have their back, and that you are going to have their back? And then are you confident that no matter what someone says about them, that you know your child better than that? You know that what these people are saying is not true, that it does not hold up. And we can take the most simplest example that I have been using a lot, and that is in school. In school, when these teachers are telling you that your child was the one who was talking, your child was the one who hit, your child did this and did that, are you going to believe your child? Do you have that much faith in your child to know that when they tell you that they did indeed get hit first, when they tell you that that other child said something to them, when they tell you that, let's just take it a step further, they that your child did tell that other child to stop, that they did use their words, that they did indeed go to the teacher and ask for help first, and they did not get the help, and because they did not get that help, they then took matters into their own hands, are you going to believe your child? And flip, is your child going to have that faith that once the teachers and the principals call them, that you are not going to flip out on them on that telephone, or once they get home, you are not going to automatically take that teacher's side, ground them, punish them, call them names, whatever the case may be? Now, like I said, once trials and tribulations come, is your child, have you planted so much confidence into your child that they're going to believe that this is just a temporary test, that they know that they can do it, that they know that sometimes, they may have to fail in order to succeed, or whatever the case may be? How much faith have you planted into your child? And how much trust is there back and forth between the two of you? How strong is your relationship? Do you believe that giving your child what they want is the way, or that denying them is what works best? Because the world out there is harsh. Do you show up and give them as much praise as you do criticism? Right? Because Satan, the devil, whatever you want to say, told God that Job is only faithful because he gives him everything he wants. But we parents sometimes and give our child everything they want, and sometimes we always say no. Like, you got to learn to say, you got to learn now that the world is harsh, and I'm not going to tell you yes all the time. And then, like I said, do you give them as much praise as you do criticism? Based on the relationship that you have created with your children, will they willingly show up for you and be faithful to you? Do you believe that they should do things for you simply because you are their parent? That's speaking now as also in your old age, because you know you're going to be expecting them to take care of you. You don't want them to put you in a nursing home. But have you cultivated that type of relationship that they are willingly going to show up for you? Because why? Because shame and guilt are not the way. We don't want our kids to show up for us through shame. And then, of course, people tend to use those same scriptures of honor thy mother and father, and then say that they ought to respect you. Love that is truly unconditional is how we're going to heal and stop intergenerational trauma. Discipline is not the same as corporal punishment in any abuse of any kind. Any kind. That's not the same way that we show love to our children. So clear correction and modeling is what we want to do. There is nothing wrong with showing vulnerability and emotions to and in between our children. All of that, stop that crying, boys don't cry, and I don't want to cry in front of my kids. You wait until they go to bed, and we are always trying to be the strong woman, or fathers don't cry in front of their kids. We have to stop that. There's nothing wrong with that, because on the flip side, you're going to want your kids to be vulnerable with you. You're going to want them to let you know when they are hurting. You got to cultivate that relationship. So, what kind of traumas are you working on, or that you think our community needs to work on? Drop me a comment or questions down below. Let's talk about it. Because again, we are here to heal together and to grow together. There are lots of things that we have to work on. But if we want to change the way parenting is done, we got to do it one step and one conversation at a time. Be sure, if you have not subscribed already, subscribe to your girl. Drop those comments and questions again. What kinds of trust trauma, actually? What kinds of trust traumas do you feel that you have to work on, or that our community has to work on? Leave a comment below. And until next time, take care of yourself and each other.